And so we have a slight change for the next speaker. You will notice that it is not Manuel Malbach who is going to be joining me on the stage, but it is the lovely Petra Masinova from Onclusive. Petra, please join me. And I just want to make the reference that this is a substitution, so everybody isn't like, wow, the afternoon's gone real girl. I know how everyone thinks, so. But no, Petra, it's wonderful to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Obviously, the year kicked off with a lot of excitement around an announcement from Onclusive. So give us, if you will, your elevator pitch and the elevator pitch of the leadership and where the company is and where you think it's going now in the next 18 months.
Thank you very much, Johna, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm really sorry you see me again. It was supposed to be our new global CEO, Manuel Malbach, and at the last minute, unfortunately, he had to apologize. His wife just gave birth to a small boy, so he wasn't able to join, but he's sending the best regards. And I was thinking, of course, we prepared for him a nice, insightful materials for him to prepare because he's coming from a different industry. And I was going through, and I thought I better stay myself, so you will hear myself again in a different, just in a different company. So I guess you all wonder what it's Onclusive about, and I will not bring any fantastic, amazing news. I think what happened is that we carved out reputation intelligence out of Kantar last year and set up a new business from the 1st of January 2022. We have a company called Onclusive. Interestingly enough, we are a startup. We are practically a co-founder of a new company as a whole business. But we are already a second biggest measurement company in the world. We are third biggest media monitoring company in the world. And we are about 20 years old. But standing in a garage and thinking what our vision is, what our mission is, what is it we want to achieve. So it's a very interesting situation. We have currently around 1,200 people. We merged with two companies you probably know, one being PR Glue. It's a company which is allowing us to manage the PR flow for all our clients, so bringing the ability to connect all the journalists, influencers, etc., with the work we provide to our clients. So we'll be having an additional very important part of our offer in Onclusive. And the other one is Onclusive. We call them Legacy Onclusive. They didn't like old Onclusive, which I can appreciate. It's a relatively small, very tech-oriented US-based company, which is going to help us to be, really, really great in technology. The vision is, I guess, very similar to the vision of all the industry players here. But I was reflecting of what Mrs. Pim said and what the great lady from Novartis presented, and also what the guys been discussing around what the clients is actually asking for and what we would like to offer. And I think a part of being, the greatest and more tech and everything, provider of data, making sense of data, helping the client, all of this, what you all have on the website. I think what we would like to become is really being on the side of the client, being the partner to the client. So when somebody like British government or any government or United Nations or European Commission or big corporation facing challenges in such a changing environment, and it's really demanding in communication, they feel secure with us, they feel safe, they feel that we can use the best in-class technology, that we don't play only on automation, but we have the added value with the fantastic insights and analysts to making sense of the data. that we are able to monitor, we are able to measure, but also we are able to help manage the data and the information. So for me, Onclusive is really being on the side of the client, being the partner rather than supplier. And that's where we are aiming. Most probably, as our new shareholder is the private equity from Silicon Valley area. They aim for big, as you can imagine. So we are looking forward really to expand organically by acquisitions, but especially by a certain type of excellence focused on the client, but not only what the client currently wants, but also what the client doesn't know he or she can have. So being a little bit ahead of what is coming up.
And so we had the panel discussion earlier about how, and to Johnny Bentonwood's credit, I'm not sure if he's in here, but to Johnny Bentonwood's credit, when we were talking in language, and words have come up a lot today too, right? It's all part of the story. And he very specifically and rightly said that throughout he had referenced his partners. So, he's someone who is a prime audience, a very specific buyer, knows exactly what he wants, and does think of everyone as a partner that's building into that data stack. When you're talking about kind of leapfrogging, being from where people, what they want now and what they're going to want in the future, does that account for that element that Johnny said where he wants the raw data? He doesn't want you sending him a Tableau report. He wants the raw data. What does that data acquisition and validity and credibility look like for you then to be able to satisfy that buyer? Or is he maybe a different buyer than who you might be targeting?
So I maybe two bits to the answer. The first one is the localization and the language and the different cultures. I think Europe, as you know well, is quite specific. Asia would be very similar. We have plenty of languages. We write differently. We think differently. There is a cultural difference. In the end of the day, we are facing very similar challenges. And what we would like to provide is helping to manage the reputation of the client. But I think, that's one of the, I would say, I don't want to call it danger, but challenge is the commoditization of everything, that everything becomes commodity. So everything can be scalable, everything can be automated, everything can be really globalized. I think there needs to be a local touch. I think we would really struggle if we commodized 100%. I can see it once, we ourselves, not as a UK government, but we were facing a challenge of informing people about the sale, make them not worried about it, and we are currently in 7 or 8 markets. So we had to do it in the local languages in the way so they understand, etc. So I think we can't ignore it. And I don't think living in France myself, it will disappear. Definitely not France for a long time. So that's this part of the answer. The second is around the data. I think the data flow will actually become more and more challenging. I think these days we are facing a boom of social media. But as you know well, the Web 3.0 will bring a completely different dimension to this. The industry is constantly changing. Of course, if you ask me, what is your priority? One of the priority will be to monitor more channels, get more media, get more data in, being aware of the other data, combine the data. But I think the important is the focus. And again, everything what I saw today during the presentations, really to deliver what the client is asking for or is needed or we can offer, he might actually realize this is something I really value, rather than trying, to collect everything and to push all the data to the client. If the client, of course, is asking for the raw data, raw global data, I think what is very important is that we enable the client to search through the data in a perfect way, so he can have his own team, his own tools to properly choose the data he actually needs for his own purposes.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful. And I think that was one of the messages from that session that, we talk about targeting, we talk about segmentation so much in the analysis work. And I think there is that segmentation in the customer work as well,
100%.
with, Johnny Golden being a very unique for a large part, but having their own in-house team obviously changes that. So it's interesting. All right, Petra, a couple of tough questions. This is the lightning rounds, but I'll lead you with an easy one. How many languages do you speak, Petra?
Oh my God. So speak. I would say 4, and then I can understand 3, 4 others, but I would be far from speaking. So I can understand.
That's pretty
well.
impressive, and I love that. Petra actually ran a school when she was in Australia for a certain time for Czech speaking. So, I mean, we have a lot of very interesting people in this room. Do not miss the opportunity to learn and to get to know them.
So, just connecting to the culture a bit, when we were announcing Onclusive to our 1,000 whatever customer employees, I've done it in all the languages, which I think was the best of the best in my career. I think it was the toppest achievement I've ever met. The German was the most challenging because the words can be like this long. And I've learned German a very long time ago. But but you know what? It was really appreciated. And I think, again, it translates into the client's words. When you deliver what you are expected to deliver, you don't try to oversell. You don't try to be someone you are not. You just are at the point, and you sort of predetermine what might be the product or the service the client appreciates. It works perfectly internally as well as externally.
All right. It's a 2-part question. The first part is, obviously with all of your growth, with these changes, with the growth that you're expecting, already being the second largest, I'm sure I saw some eyebrows. You'll have some spirited debate in the afternoon break-in tonight about the criteria, the methodology using to determine that. But when we look at the growth and the team that you're building and what you're hoping to project, we know that you also have Phil Lynch, who's on our international board. You're head of insights. You have Liam Kelly. So you have people that we know too. What was that recruiting process like for you to build that team, to look at the measurement team of today and tomorrow?
I have a lot of weaknesses and a lot of strengths. Some strengths, being humbled. Some strengths are picking up and choosing the right people for the right purpose, to try to play on their own strengths, to develop them and to see the potential. And I'm very, very happy about my team. I'm adding on the people from United States, from other markets. But from the perspective of evaluation and measurement, Phil Lynch have been actually my teacher from a very early stage of my career in in Newton. And Phil is amazing. I think he is not only a global director of Insight and Evaluation today and Onclusive, but he is really a thought leader of the industry. And I am very proud for Phil being in the AMEC board, and I actually think it is him who belongs there much more than me, because he is the one who understands the measurement and evaluation better. Liam, now, going through the global business development and growth, looking at the clients, but with his knowledge of measurement and evaluation, so he's not looking at it just as a commodity. He understands the client much better. I love people. I'm a people's person. I always loved working with people. So most of the people in here, I really, really appreciate. They have a fantastic knowledge, and AMEC being our partner in bad and good all the time there. So our future is definitely connected with AMEC.
And we thank you for that and for all of the support that you give and that you've given every place, where you've been throughout your career and throughout AMEC. That's always meant a lot. One last question. You talked a little bit about, Web 3.0 and Metaverse and what that means. Probably for this group, how are you hiring to try to make sure that you have the right people so that you can scale, grow, be relevant, avoid some of those commodity traps in that 3.0 metaverse world?
This is an excellent question, Johna. It cannot be a better question. I think that in hiring to our industry today, there is also a challenge of hiring the people who are relevant to our clients, because our clients are actually getting younger than we are. So, I used to talk to the clients who were younger than me, sometimes older than me, sometimes same age. Now it's gradually goes to younger than me. And I think we need to take this into account. It's really important. The head of communications and PR are really young. They are looking at the data differently. They are looking differently at the importance of certain channels. They are looking differently and how to move in the world of the digital media. So it is very challenging. Interestingly enough, we had this conversation recently in the United States, and our new partners in the United States, or the Onclusive family members, they are really going after a very young talents, partnering with universities, but not only in States, in different parts of the world, including India, China, Europe, everywhere where the talents are, and working with them very closely from the early stage of leaving university, not only to hire, but also to try to understand, because one day they might join our industry, but they might also join the PR and communication departments. And I think it's really, really important. Look, the CEO of Onclusive, who was supposed to sit here, is already, 10 years younger than me. So I think, yes, he understands better. He understands better what's going on in the world. But it is important also to attract the new people is becoming a bigger challenge, because with all the fantastic environment of Google and Facebook and all these cool companies or big companies or international organizations being more influencers with everything what is happening, it's challenging. We are a relatively small industry, although I think we can have such an impact of the lives of the big ones that it's very attractive to be part of it. And as most of you know, it's like a magnet, right? We try to escape and it just pulls us back to the area. So 100% very challenging.
Well, Petra, to go back to what you said earlier, that Onclusive didn't want to be called old inclusive, but legacy inclusive. I think you just identified both of us as legacy humans. And I embrace being in that category with you, my friend, and welcome all of the greatness and ideas that is coming up in the next generation, and look forward to seeing Onclusive there. So thank you so much for your leadership and for being with us. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much,
Petra Masinova.
everybody. Thank you, Johna.
Good.